Ladies and gentlemen, Mollusk here, and this is my first real Malifaux game against my first real-life human. The first thing to say is that neither me or my opponent have a clue about what we're doing. This is my opponent's very first match, and you've seen my training, probably. Maybe. If you haven't, don't bother. So yeah guys, there's going to be mistakes. And if you see them and feel like telling me, please do. It'll help me learn this game faster, and slightly decrease the chances of me making them again. Next item of business. Normally my opponent fights me using armies of paper, but this time he's packing plastic. It might not be the right plastic, but it's still plastic. Look how awesome Malifaux is for beginners. I should also probably say that I picked out his crew. He asked me to make a crew for him out of the Arcanist factions, and since he normally likes to play stuff with a bit of humour, I chose Colette, as I thought a bunch of girls running around with some doves is about as silly as the Arcanists get. They're such a starch-ass bunch. So I've basically just taken Colette's starting crew and added the Karifi, or however you say that, in place of one of the mannequins, because people on the forums said it was good. So basically I've got no idea what his list does, and he has even less of an idea. So let's see how this goes. My opponent won the deployment flip and made me go first, so I deployed like this. Teratot, Barbaros, Lilith, Young Nephilim, Cherub, Teratot. The Teratots are going to work the flanks and hold me the reconnoiter table quarters. The Cherub's going to annoy stuff because I've got no idea how to really use it. Some pew pew with the bow of love, I think. Lilith's got Beckon Malifaux and Rapid Growth, and Barbaros has Fear's Given Form. He also has a Vendetta against Colette. And little does he know that he is the poor sap that we're going to use to get someone in trouble with the Nephilim police. Yeah, sure. So, plan. Colette's group should probably keep relatively close together. Snag something with Tangled Shadows. Slingshot Barbaros up in Colette's grill. Fairly guaranteed points for attacking her first. Maybe even still score some more points for killing her. And basically wreak havoc with Fear Given Form as he's beaten to a bloody pulp by the rest of the crew. Boom! I'm such a one-trick pony. My opponent's deployment. Mannequin. Performer, and he's got a bit ahead of me and has moved when I took this picture. So obviously he won the first turn, and that's a scheme mark he dropped because why not. Karifi, Colette, Cassandra, Performer, Dove. Colette has the upgrades that help her summon doves and use free soul stones. I don't think he really ended up using them in the end because for a first game and a first crew, this one takes a lot of thinking about. And though he did well, it's a bit complicated. And so, unbeknownst to me, he's going for Line in the Sand and Frame for Murder, with the Karifi as the sucker. So this picture is just showing that the Performer dropped the scheme marker for free and then double walked to the hill. In the north, my Teratot with the skull head pegged it to the clock tower, sprinting without me even having to cheat. The mannequin moves up to join the Performer. Babyface the Teratot goes out wide. The Karifi prances straight out to the centre and is like, "Come at me chaps." Content to draw the Karifi closer, the young Nephilim just moves there, lurking behind the wall. Cassandra nimbly switches table sides. Lilith goes, setting up a forest behind the Karifi, and then fails twice with Wicked Vines. Seriously guys, my hand was balls this turn. Oh, and she lost her first AP shuffling into range. However, she ends her activation within 6 inches of the Cherub, who gets to go, because now I know that Companion only works if the model hasn't activated already. So basically the chubby baby flutters over the wall and shoots an arrow at the Karifi, who just doesn't care, thanks to my opponent's cheating. The Dove goes and hugs the clock tower. The second Teratot, or actually the last one to move, the one with the goat head, moves down to join the second, or the first one, or whatever. It's late. Basically I want these two to guarantee me this table quarter and be into position to sprint into his or remove markers should they need to, and I don't know if his crew has any shooting, and I'm not taking any chances, so I'm hiding behind the walls. The second Performer moves and hides in a tree. Barbaros goes, and to be honest, I don't really want to go out. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm happy to draw the Karifi out and wait until something's in range for Lilith to use her Tangled Shadows. Finally, Colette runs around the wall and drops a ski marker. We go into turn 1 upkeep, and Cassandra pushes another few inches. She is rapid on that first turn. No one scores any points, and so we go into turn 2. And there's my awesome hand. Lots of masks. And I am using Lilith's Rush of Magic, but I'm discarding the 2s. Hopefully that means my deck is going to draw high. The Arcanists win the initiative, and Karifi pirouettes into the Cherub. It attacks and does 2 damage. It attacks again, and I flip the Black Joker. So much for high cards. So Fat Baby is liquefied. Sigh. Young Nephilim's not going to take that shit. Walks into the Karifi and proceeds to do sweet fuck all. This prompts Barbaros to join the fray, to show how things are done, and after a flurry of blows manages to do 1 damage. 1 delicious piece of damage. And simultaneously manages to fail his Vendetta scheme by declaring his first attack action. I am such a moron! But I got a bit ahead of myself. Before Barbaros activated, the Performer on the left here activated, moved up, dropped a scheme marker for free because she's within range of Colette, and moved over here. After Barbaros activated, the Mannequin moved up and dropped a scheme marker on the middle line of the table. Something fishy going on here, and at this point my opponent revealed his line in the sand scheme because he wasn't fooling anybody. With nothing better to do, Lilith moves up to attack the Karifi, positioning herself horribly because I need her to be within 12 inches of the Performer on the hill, but never mind. She casts some trees by the clock tower to protect the Pterotot, and wails on the puppet with her big sword, doing absolutely nothing. This thing is a complete nightmare. The Dove activates and twiddles its thumbs because he's trying to get me to commit to my activations. Goathead Pterotot drops a scheme marker for the hell of it. I don't really want to move these guys, they're in the position that I want them to be in. Performer moves out from the trees and drops a scheme marker, and Skullhead Pterotot is now safe to move out. Colette drops the scheme marker and moves up to the rock. Pterotot shuffles up a teeny bit and goes into a defensive stance. And that was a big mistake because it put him in Cassandra's charge range and she dutifully went for it. First attack, 2 damage. Second attack, 2 damage. And we have a death. Or a second death rather for the Neverborn. Things could be going better. So at the end of the turn, we are contesting 2 zones and control 1 zone each for no points. Here's my hand, going into round 3, and it's looking a bit better. Neverborn go first, and the young Nephilim strikes at the Karifi, putting everything into a feast attack. My opponent draws like crap, and the attack goes through. But then he cheats with a 10, and then I cheat with a jack. Even with a negative damage flip, I still inflict moderate damage, which is a huge 6. So despite its impressive armour, Karifi goes down, and earns 2 victory points for being taken out before turn 4. Performer activates and moves into the Pterotot, but I don't think it does anything. And Lilith puts the plan into action. I Soulstone for a mask, and cheat in my king to get off Tangled Shadows. Barbaros moves up into base contact with the Performer, and the Performer then gets sucked back to Lilith. The Nephilim Gladiator now has Colette right where he wants her, and it's time to settle the score. Lilith moves the trees, and the plan is to try to block Cassandra from charging round the corner to get to the Pterotot, who I intend to move because I figure his next activation will be Colette against Barbaros. But that's really not very well thought out positioning. Lilith then swings away at the Performer and does a paltry 3 damage. I'm such a fool for not doing Wicked Vines on Colette, given how many pushes Barbaros has. Colette activates against Barbaros, and she can put out a fair number of attacks. A decent amount of damage goes through. She uses her attack trigger to drop a marker. Some more damage goes through. Would have been 4, but I Soulstoned to reduce it by 2. Some more damage goes through, and Barbaros is really taking it, but he loves it. Give me those victory points. The Pterotot attacks the Performer. I stone for an extra flip, and he flips the red Joker. I can't remember if I did any more damage, probably not. Cassandra makes it to Goathead and pulverizes him. Barbaros attacks Colette. And we're both soulstoning furiously at this point, and I can't really remember what happened, but I don't think I did very much damage at all. So after this, I think we're both out of soulstones. The cool girl, or performer, whatever she is, does damage to Skull Kid, but he black bloods her in return. Mechanical Budgie moves out to be of use to the performer fighting Lilith, and he isn't, because when she activates she can't get away from Lilith, and so I think she just ends up dropping a ski marker or something. In upkeep we hold a quarter each and no one scores any points. Quite an important turn to go first. No soulstones left for either of us to reflip the initiative, and fortune smiles on the Nephilim. Barbaros opens up on Colette. Some rigorous cheating ensures he slaps her on the arse for 2 damage, leaving her with 2 remaining, and sends her sprawling over the rock. I thought it might cause some damage and finish her off, but that's hazardous terrain, not severe terrain. I also realise now that I don't have to push her the full 4 inches, I can be up to 4 inches, so I can still keep her in my engagement range. Something to remember for future. The mannequin beats on Barbaros, trying to finish him off, does a tiny bit of damage, and takes a black blooding. And here we go, the game changer. My opponent had planned to activate this performer, walk around the Terratot and place a ski marker on the centre line, completing line in the sand. But the Tot managed to land a solid blow. I was at a negative flip and flipped the Queen and a Jack, causing severe damage and finishing off the performer, which was massive. And I have been taking willpower duels for attacking unactivated performers, and I've just been either passing them or cheating, because that's a really annoying ability. And Colette's had enough. She walks around the rock, charges back into Barbaros, and knees him savagely in the groin. And our brave warrior falls, netting us 2 victory points for framing a master for murder. The young Nephilim charges and easily eviscerates the final performer, freeing up Lilith to go about her wicked business. The mechanical dove desperately jumps into engagement with the Nephilim queen. It can't do any damage, but it's really hard to get mechanical bird poop out of a leather corset. Lilith activates and goes for Tangled Shadows. The plan is to move Lilith herself, puts her in base contact with Colette, remove the ski marker next to her, and hopefully finish her off. I think I had a king in my hand, but no high masks, and I've got no soulstones, so obviously I failed. Would have been good though. Instead I swap the dove and move into the adjacent table quarter. Cassandra launches a crazed charge at Lilith. We're both cheating madly and a few wounds go through on the Mother of Monsters. And unfortunately guys, that's where we had to call it. It was getting pretty late and we'd spent quite a lot of our allotted time reading through the rules and familiarising ourselves with armies, and we'd had to have done a fair amount of rules checking as we went. So there it is, the end of the game. My friend got a point for having 2 at least scheme markers on the centre line for a revealed line in the sand, and I finally got a point for controlling 2 table quarters. Combining with our previous 2 points each for frame for murder, this makes the game a draw at 3 points all. Outstanding. This was so much fun. Malifaux is a really impressive game. I'm absolutely loving it so far. And I've got to take my hat off to my friend. Colette looks like a really challenging master to get working. And I get the sense that Lilith is a fairly strong choice, even for beginners. And it still felt like he was outplaying me for most of the game. It was just that fluky draw with the Terratot killing the performer that allowed me to clinch a draw. But yeah, great game, loving Malifaux, and I'd love to hear anything you think I did wrong or could have done better, or just general pointers to help me not suck so hard at the game. Hope that was enjoyable. Take care.